Without objection. Thank you, Mr. Biggs. And now Mr. Raskin is recognized for 5 minutes.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The distinguished gentleman from Arizona began by talking about visa overstays. And so, Mr. Nowrasteh, I wanted to ask you about that. There's been a lot of discussion recently about a famous case of a visa overstay, that of Elon Musk, who had a student visa, was granted entry to the country, and then didn't go to school and said he never really wanted to go to school, but stayed and was able to get to work. And I wonder, in your response to the gentleman from Arizona, you said, or someone said that there's something like 500,000 people in this context. What are we doing about these visa overstays? And going back to your original comment, would we be better off if people like Elon Musk were kicked out of the country at that point, people who overstay a student visa or a work visa? Because my experience from traveling abroad is that oftentimes what we get in America is the most ambitious people, the people who want to work the hardest, create the businesses, win, Pulitzer Prizes and Nobel Prizes and so on. And he would seem to fall into that example. I mean, I guess he's in a category of his own. But somebody who was very ambitious and wanted to come here. But would we be better off making sure that everybody was kicked out of the country the day after their visa expired?
We absolutely would not be better off. We'd be substantially worse off if that were the case, especially in that example of Mr. Musk. The reason why he did what he did with the student visas and then the tricky H-1B situation, everything, was because there was no other way for him to come to this country lawfully. And it is absurd that in this country, which has been built by immigrants, all of us are descendants of immigrants here in this country today. We have a proud history of being open, that there is no other way for him to come here lawfully, to open businesses, to try his mettle, to create new firms that are multi-billion-dollar, trillion dollars of value that he has created in the world, and other people like him. The government should focus on the security threats. They should focus on criminals. They could go after these folks like ICE went after these Iranians in the last couple days, many of whom had criminal convictions. They should not be wasting their time on people with expired fishing licenses who are student visas. Now, the government does do a good amount now, especially under this administration, of trying to track down some of these overstays, but it's not a high priority because they need to go after criminals and national security threats and people like that. Every dollar they spend and every minute they waste going after non-criminals and people who aren't national security threats is a waste.
Okay. I think you're intimating views that are congruent with my own, which are we should make it much, much more difficult for people to get into America illegally and much easier for people to get into the country legally and lawfully. And I think that we have bipartisan convergence around the first issue, that we want to make it difficult to get in the country illegally, but we seem to disagree about the importance or the value of allowing people to get into the country lawfully. I think that our temporary chairman here said, and please correct me if I'm wrong, mass migration is the single biggest existential threat to our country today. What do you think about that as, setting aside climate change, terrorism, social and racial division? Is mass migration the biggest threat to our country? If we had massive lawful migration, would that be a bad thing for America?
The overuse of the word existential is a prime example of threat inflation, of trying to terrify people for no good reason. The idea that the existence of the United States is threatened by immigration is absurd. It is just the opposite. The future of the United States is guaranteed and enhanced by immigration to this country. It is what will guarantee the growth. If there was no immigration, for instance, starting right now, the population of this country will start to shrink in the mid-2040s. There will be fewer Americans. There will be a smaller America unless we expand or at least continue the legal immigration that we have now.
Okay, so why do you think immigration has become such a vexed political problem? I know historically we've gone through periods of anti-immigration fervor and xenophobia, but if we've got the grounds for bipartisan compromises we've seen repeatedly, why do some people keep on wanting to use this as a political club?
So I think it's obviously a vote getter. It obviously infuriates a lot of people. And to be, totally fair to these folks who I disagree with, I do think people see chaos and they really don't like it, right? But I think the chaos is caused by our restrictive immigration system overwhelmingly. And if we want to get control in the long term, we need to do what you suggest, which is expand legal immigration opportunities to the United States. Enforcement matters, but legal immigration matters a ton too.
Time's expired. Thank you. We now recognize Mr. Tiffany.